Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update. This is May 5th, 2022, and my name is Bruce. And let's start off with the weather. What's the weather like today? Ooh, breezy, but not as bad as usual. It is 14.7 kilometers per hour, and the temperature is 31.5 degrees Celsius, and the humidity is 69%. This place is so noisy. So we're working our way down to the end of the Eid holidays, and well, things are going to lighten up a little here, but they have been jumping, as I said in the last video, and along with places being full, lots of complaints and some more bad behavior from foreigners. I'm going to talk about that because that is everywhere. It is on the local media, the local social media, the expat social media, the foreign social media, tourist sites. It is everywhere, and so we're going to talk about that. Ubud is apparently jumping, and people are back complaining about traffic jams and about drivers at the airport and drivers in Ubud and prices and just everything. We're getting back to normal. How are we going to fare once the domestic tourists leave? Because they are the majority of people here right now. I don't know. We can expect a downturn, some in terms of hotel occupancy and tourist sites and restaurants and bars. This will give us a chance to see just how many international tourists are here and how they're impacting the economic situation. And so that will be good. And it's also the time when we'll be able to see what's going on in terms of the virus. Has Mudik and the Eid holidays brought another spike like it has over the last 2 years, or are we going to stay low? Because the numbers are real good, and so let's talk about the numbers right now. Okay, the numbers, well, they're so good, but remember, we're on a holiday, and so we have to take that into account. National new cases, 105. National recoveries, 395. National deaths, 18. Wow. Bali new cases, 15. Bali recoveries, 11. And Bali deaths, 0. So the numbers are incredible. But again, we got to take that with a grain of salt because this is the holiday period. And so let's see what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks with the numbers. But good news, so let's take it. Now, there is some bad news health-wise, unfortunately. So let's get into the first main story. Health Ministry investigates mysterious hepatitis that killed 3 children in Jakarta. Yes, there is apparently a mysterious hepatitis outbreak going on worldwide. So this is said that it may be linked to the mysterious hepatitis outbreak that sickened hundreds of children in at least 20 countries. The 3 children here in Indonesia, aged 2, 8, and 11, died in the General Hospital in Jakarta after displaying jaundice, diarrhea, and vomiting. Some of the symptoms that were also found in clusters of unexplained hepatitis cases that have emerged in children around the globe. According to Ibu Siti Nadia Tarmizi, who I've talked about many times, she said the 3 cases experienced fever, nausea, convulsions, and loss of consciousness. They were referred from smaller hospitals in East Jakarta and West Jakarta. The deaths in Jakarta brought the global death toll to 4, so 3 of the 4 here in Indonesia. The Health Ministry suspects the cases to be acute hepatitis of an unknown origin, though they caution that the investigation is ongoing and say no need for panic. According to Ibu Nadia, her office is still running a full panel of virus tests to find out the cause of the infection. The Jakarta Health Agency is conducting epidemiological investigation, and she urged people to remain calm and to practice personal hygiene. And this can't be stressed enough, immediately bring children to the nearest health facility if they display symptoms of jaundice, yellowing of the skin and eyes, abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, dark urine, pale stools, as well as seizures and loss of consciousness. The Health Ministry has alerted the local administration and health authorities across the country about the mysterious disease and instructed them to monitor and report any suspected cases of unexplained acute hepatitis in children. The emerging cases of acute hepatitis of unknown origin in children aged between 1 month to 16 years have raised concerns among the global health communities. There are at least 228 probable causes of hepatitis of unknown origin in children that have now been reported to the WHO from 20 countries as of Sunday. And over 50 cases are still under investigation, according to a WHO spokesperson. Most of the cases are from Europe, but there are others in the Americas, Western Pacific, and Southeast Asia. More than 100 cases have now been recorded in the UK. Some cases have caused liver failure and required transplants. According to the WHO, no common viruses that cause viral hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E have been detected in any of the first 169 cases reported at the time. Instead, adenovirus, one of a group of common viruses that often cause cold-like symptoms, were detected in at least 74 cases. The WHO said that while adenovirus was currently one hypothesis as the underlying cause, it did not fully explain the severity of the clinical picture. Adenoviruses are commonly caused by close personal contact, respiratory droplets, and surfaces. There are more than 50 types of these viruses, which most commonly cause the cold, but also many other diseases. The UK Health Security Agency released an update on Friday in their investigation and suggested that the significant increase in adenovirus infections, particularly in children, might be due to low levels of circulation during the COVID-19 pandemic. In response to all this, the Indonesian Doctors Association, IDI, and the Indonesian Pediatric Association, IDAI, instructed doctors, health workers, and pediatricians under the two organizations to be cautious about any hepatitis symptoms found in their patients and constantly to monitor those cases. So, this is not good news. No reason to panic, but if your child shows any of these signs, you should take them to the hospital immediately and notify them of the symptoms. Now, apparently there's already rumors going on that this is related to the vaccinations. And here is the next story on this. Rumors on acute hepatitis caused by COVID-19 vaccine, Baseless, Epidemiologist. And who is the epidemiologist? The old friend, Pagbudi from Australia. He said, so far there have been no scientific facts or arguments confirming that this is caused by the COVID-19 vaccine. Rumors on acute hepatitis hailing from Great Britain in several European countries have been attributed to the lockdown policy, as opposed to in Indonesia where the disease is linked to the vaccination. Thus, he said, rumors are baseless. Dickey explained, according to scientific hypotheses made by global researchers, the acute hepatitis is likely to be an ensuing impact from the COVID-19 pandemic infection, which since the onset had infected patients. Pagbudi said, so I do not see any inclination that this is due to the vaccine. No, that is a very frail theory that is prone to errors. But the mitigation is still how to prevent infection, among others, through vaccination as protection. The WHO has declared this disease as an extraordinary occurrence. And this announcement came on April 15th after the disease infected children aged 11 months to 5 years. So at this point, the cause of the hepatitis is unknown. And just remember to keep an eye on your kids if they get ill during this period, and especially if they show signs of jaundice. Okay, so some good news and some bad news. Good news is the COVID numbers are going down. The bad news is that this mysterious hepatitis thing. Okay, let's get on to tourism now. And, well, some better news, but some foreigners behaving badly again. And we'll talk about that first because that is, as I said at the introduction, everywhere on the internet right now. Viral video of unclothed Caucasians on this old sacred tree in Tabanan, Bali. This is what the old village Perbekel said. Okay. I love these headlines. So viral videos and photos, and there are screenshots of this everywhere, and the actual video is online, or it was online last night. Very short, it was about 23 seconds, I think. Viral videos and photos showing a naked female Caucasian posing around a sacred tree in Tabanan. It's known that the sacred tree is about 700 years old. And this was spread partially because of Nilu Jilantik. She's a Balinese woman, and she's been doing this since COVID started. When these cases come up like this, she's been bringing it to the awareness of the authorities. And she said in a post, Bali does not need tourists of waste. In her upload, Nilu Jilantik also asked for an explanation from Alina Yogi, who apparently is the woman who was posing naked on a sacred tree. She said, you will need to explain this to our official officers. Every action comes with consequences. And so she's linked up to immigration in Denpasar and immigration generally, and Hukum in Ham and the police in Tabanan and in Bali. She said, please pay attention, dear sir. In addition, this designer, she's a clothes designer, also regrets what the Caucasians did, especially if the video was made for content purposes only. What do you mean? For the sake of content, the sanctity of the temple is polluted because of your behavior, she explained. It's known in Balinese Hindu belief that if a tree is in a temple area, it is a sacred and purified tree. So this is another naked tourist dancing, right? We had the guy on Mount Batur, and there's a little follow-up on that coming up. And now we have this woman who was rubbing herself up against this tree. And on her post, I guess it was an IG post, she had some jumbly writing about, I don't know, connections and things, and apparently she is another life coach. The life coaches here, wow, they're a problem. And of course, the fact that she's Russian has led many people to go off on their anti-Russian rants as well. Now, in the story, it said, what did the old village officials say? So in response to the viral photos and videos showing the eccentric action of naked white people in the sacred area of Babakan Temple in Tua village in Marga district, Tabanan, the village and the manager went down and checked directly at the location on Wednesday, that was yesterday, and the head of the village regrets that the incident occurred. But he said it didn't occur now. He said it happened several years ago or before 2019, because I took over in 2019 and we've instituted security procedures. And he admitted that people in the village were upset about the photo of the Caucasians without clothes, and he said he didn't know exactly when it happened, so it was a valuable experience for the future. Okay, so he doesn't want to admit that it is happening right now, because you don't want to take any responsibility for this, like our security was lax. And so, that's his statement there. So what next? Was examined at the Tabanan police. The case of naked Caucasians was transferred to Bali police. So two foreigners were questioned by the Tabanan police. And who was questioned is of issue. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Now, interesting. This is why you have to read multiple sources here, because if you read one source, you're liable to get something wrong. Now, there are two sources here, two different Indonesian language newspapers that say two completely different things about what happened. And I've got links to both of them below. But in the first one that I read, it said that two people came and they prayed in the temple and apologized, but it was not the people that did it. They were friends that were sent there. So in this article, naked Caucasians in the sacred tree didn't come to Banjarbayan to apologize, sent two other friends. So they were questioned by the Tabanan police, and they had time to pray in front of Kayu Puti, the tree, and apologize. And according to this article, and a spokesperson, maybe the person, Alina, who was the one nakedly posing there, didn't dare to come because she was afraid that there would be mass tantrums and so on. And according to this, the video was shot at 7 in the morning before a guard was out. So there are guards. Our guards show up at 9 o'clock in the morning. So These people came at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, did they come at 7 o'clock in the morning because they knew the guards were going to come later and they wanted to sneak in there and do that? If they did, then this compounds the situation. If they just happen to show up early because they're early risers or they wanted to get the sun, the photographer wanted to get the sun, who knows? Then it's a different story. And so there is going to be a ceremony held. There has to be a ceremony held to purify the tree again. And so that will be taking place on May 24th. And according to this article, with this acknowledgement from the Caucasians, his party as manager felt a little relieved because there was a bright spot. In addition, this event also provides an experience for tourism in Bali as well as foreign tourists. It is possible that these tourists do not understand that the place where the video is made is a sacred area. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. We believe that everyone has made mistakes, and the point now is to maintain the sanctity of temples and provide education to our tourists. Moreover, tourism is an important sector for us in Bali, especially in Tabanan. They don't say here if these tourists are going to pay for the ceremonies, which can be expensive. And according to Alina, the naked young lady, I apologize to all Balinese and Indonesian people. I regret my actions. I'm so embarrassed. I didn't mean to offend you in any way. Absolutely no knowledge of this place. I just prayed under a tree and went straight to the police station to explain this incident and apologize. So here she's saying that she went, and the next story says exactly that. It says that she and her friend or her husband went and did this. They didn't send people there. And so two different sources, two different stories. Viral posing naked, Caucasian woman from Russia apologizes. After a photo of her posing naked on a eucalyptus tree, Babakan temple in Tuamarga village and circulating on social media, the Caucasian woman immediately performed the ritual of apologizing. The Caucasian, known as Alina from Russia, prayed to apologize on Wednesday afternoon around 1700 Western Indonesian time. She was accompanied by a friend, and the prayer process was guided directly by one of the elders from the temple, and there was even the head of the branch manager of the Indonesian Hindu Dharma Student Union there, and he was also involved. After the prayers and the apology, the two of them were immediately taken to the Marga Polsek and continued to the Tabanan police station. Essentially, we want to oversee this problem. In the future, we hope that guards at spiritual tourism objects will tighten the visiting rules. According to an officer from Polsek, yes, we are grateful that she wants the responsibility of surrendering herself to Polsek for what she has done. Okay, that's positive. Okay, so this has been a huge issue, and it is everywhere, and of course everybody has chimed in. Some people, Indonesians, Balinese, foreigners, are outraged and want her deported immediately. Others say, look, if she's being forgiven by the local Balinese, who are we to say what's going on? And there's questions about who's responsible for the behavior of foreigners here in sacred places, and I'm going to talk to that in just a minute. Viral naked Caucasians at Babakan Temple. Tourism stakeholders are expected to notify tourists. The chairman of the Bali Marginal Tourism Actors Alliance, Puspa Negara, spoke about foreign tourists taking nude photos in Tabanan. He said, I think this is one of the impacts of tourism. So there's a vision error that tourism also needs to be improved here. And there are three things. The first is knowledge, skills, and attitudes. According to him, tourists must have an attitude that follows the culture in Bali. So it's the responsibility of the accommodation owner when tourists come to get announced regulations about what can or can't be done. So in other words, if you're staying in a homestay, you should be told by them what's acceptable and what's not. If you're staying in a big hotel, I don't know who's going to tell you that. He said this needs to be emphasized by all tourism actors, such as tour guides, travel agents, and also travel agencies, which need to inform tourists when entering Bali what they can and cannot do. At a minimum, tourists are given the correct explanation. Also, sometimes there are three types of tourists who enter Bali. This article only mentions one type. The first is an independent tourist. He comes without a guide, he comes alone, and so sometimes this can lead to things like that. But the point is that they stay in accommodation hotels, so it's the accommodation owner's job to inform them of the situation here. And they should give written and verbal instructions to the tourist on how to behave. So, who's responsible for this? Now, I've been having this discussion with a close friend of mine for years, among other people. And is it the tourist responsibility to inform themselves of what the situation is here, what the rules are, what the culture is? Or is it the island, the authorities' responsibility to tell them what they are? It would be nice to think that tourists would brief themselves on what the culture is like here and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. But when you take a look at social media sites and see how many people ask the same question over and over again, despite the fact that the answer is already there, if they just scroll up or scroll down a little, you can see that it may be too much to ask some people to inform themselves of what the culture is like and what the expectations are like where they're going. So, if you want to make sure that tourists don't come in here and violate things and use the excuse, I didn't know about it, maybe it's going to be the responsibility of the authorities to let them know. And how could you do that? One way would be to have a brief, short pamphlet that every tourist got when they came here, and you could charge them for it to offset the cost of printing this and charge them a minimal fee. And so when they come into the country, they have to pay for this. There is no option. They pay the $10,000 or whatever, and they get this. And then there are no excuses when they violate rules, if they violate rules. And maybe this will keep people from violating rules. Another way to do this would be to have these distributed all over the island at homestays and hotels, and then give it to people on arrival. I happen to think it's easier and more efficient to do it at the airport. As people come through, they get one of these, and that's it. So I'm really interested in what you think about who's responsible for this. Are Balinese authorities responsible to inform people what are the correct ways to do things here in Bali? Or is that something that they should know, the tourists should know by themselves when they come here? You got my opinion. I'd like to hear yours. Leave a comment below, please. Okay, that's it for today. We're wrapping up. If you didn't see the video I put yesterday, there's a link right here. This is about Singaraja, and I'm going to be doing some more of those. And there'll be a video up on Sunday, a cooking video. My wife is doing Thai food this week. Why Thai food? She said, it's Asia. I'm Asian. I don't like to just eat Indonesian food. I like to eat other Asian food as well. So we're going to have some special Thai food on Sunday, so check that video out. And if you found this video helpful, useful, informative, scintillating, non-irritating, funny, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Videos are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and a cook-in video on Sunday. And if important updates come out on visa situations, anything that affects people that live here or that want to come here, I will do a special video. Excuse me, losing my voice. Just to answer your question, if you stuck around this long, there's nothing going on right now in immigration. I have not seen any new news. Monday, the 9th, immigration opens up. I'm expecting something to be said on the 9th or the 10th, but who knows? So hang in there. Thanks for viewing. Stay safe. Be kind to someone today. And I will see you on Saturday.